Welcome to Meshcat English House, your go-to destination for improving your English in a fun and practical way. I'm Emma, and I'll be your guide for today's episode. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone who loves learning languages, this podcast is here to help you sharpen your English skills with easy-to-follow tips and real-world applications. Today, we're diving into one of the most essential aspects of English learning, grammar. Now, I know grammar might not always seem like the most exciting topic, but trust me, once you understand a few key principles, everything else starts to click into place. And the best part? You don't have to memorize endless rules. Instead, I'll introduce you to 5 simple but powerful rules that will immediately improve your English. These are the rules that native speakers use naturally, and once you start applying them, your confidence will grow, and your sentences will sound much more natural. Whether you're writing an email, speaking with friends, or preparing for an exam, these rules will help you express yourself clearly and effectively. So, if you've ever felt confused by grammar, or if you want to strengthen your foundation and take your English to the next level, this episode is for you. Stay with me, grab a notebook if you'd like, and let's get started. Welcome to Meshcat English House, your go-to place for improving your English skills in a fun and engaging way. I'm Emma. Welcome to Meshcat English House, your go-to place for improving your English skills in a fun and engaging way. I'm Emma. That's right, James. We know that grammar can feel overwhelming, especially when there are so many rules to remember. But don't worry. We've broken it down into 5 easy-to-follow rules that will instantly improve your English. And trust me, once you start applying these rules consistently, you'll see a huge difference in how natural and fluent you sound. So, grab a notebook, sit back, and let's get started.
Let's start with one of the most basic yet essential rules in English: subject-verb agreement. This means that the verb in a sentence must match the subject in number. If the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural as well. For example, we say she walks to school because she is singular, so we add an s to the verb walks. But when the subject is plural, like they walk to school, the verb remains in its base form.
A common mistake that many English learners make is forgetting to match the verb correctly with the subject. Sometimes, people might say she walked to school instead of she walks to school, or he go to the store instead of he goes to the store. These small mistakes can make your English sound unnatural, but they are very easy to fix once you start paying attention. A simple trick is to always check the subject before choosing the verb. If it's singular, make sure your verb reflects that by adding.
Another thing to keep in mind is that some subjects may seem plural, but they are actually singular in meaning. Words like everybody, somebody, nobody, and anyone are singular, so they need a singular verb. For example, we say everybody loves pizza, not everybody love pizza. Once you start getting used to this rule, you'll find that your English sounds much more accurate and polished.
The next rule is all about verb tenses. One of the biggest challenges for English learners is knowing when to use the correct tense. In English, we use different verb tenses to indicate when an action happens: past, present, or future. It's important to use the right tense because it provides clarity to the listener or reader.
A common mistake is mixing tenses in a sentence. For example, saying yesterday, I go to the park is incorrect because yesterday indicates that the action happened in the past, so we should use went instead of go. The correct sentence would be yesterday, I went to the park.
One of the best ways to avoid these mistakes is to pay close attention to time words like yesterday, now, tomorrow, and last week because they give you clues about which tense to use. If something happened in the past, make sure to use the past tense. If it's happening now, use the present tense. If it's happening in the future, use the future tense.
And don't forget about irregular verbs. These verbs don't follow the regular pattern of adding ed in the past tense. Instead of saying goed, we say went. Instead of runned, we say ran. The best way to master irregular verbs is to practice using them in sentences until they become second nature.
Now, let's talk about articles. Many English learners struggle with knowing when to use a, an, and the. Articles might seem small, but they make a big difference in making your sentences sound natural.
Here's an easy way to remember. We use a before words that begin with a consonant sound, like a cat or a book. We use an before words that begin with a vowel sound, like an apple or an hour. Even though hour starts with an H, the H is silent, so it sounds like it starts with a vowel. And we use the when talking about something specific, like the sun or the best movie I've ever seen.
If you're ever unsure whether to use a or an, just say the word out loud and listen to the sound at the beginning. If it starts with a vowel sound, use an. If it starts with a consonant sound, use a.
Another important rule is avoiding double negatives. In English, two negatives in a sentence cancel each other out and create a positive meaning, which can make your sentence confusing or completely different from what you intended to say.
For example, saying I don't need no help actually means I need help. This is because don't and no are both negatives, so they cancel each other out. The correct way to say it is I don't need any help.
Double negatives can be tricky, especially if they exist in your native language. Some languages naturally use double negatives to reinforce a negative idea, but in English, they often change the meaning of the sentence. So, remember, stick to just one negative word per sentence to keep your meaning clear.
Lastly, let's talk about word order. English follows a specific structure in sentences: subject, verb, object. This order is crucial because changing it can make your sentence confusing or completely incorrect.
That's why we say I love pizza and not love I pizza. The order of words in a sentence is very important. When forming a sentence, always start with the subject, who or what the sentence is about, followed by the verb, the action, and then the object, who or what is receiving the action.
This rule also applies to adjectives. In English, adjectives come before the noun, so we say a big house, not a house big. The placement of words in a sentence determines how natural and clear it sounds, so it's important to practice getting it right.
A great way to practice is by reading and listening to English as much as possible. Pay attention to how words are arranged in sentences, and try mimicking the structure when you speak or write.
And there you have it. 5 simple rules that will help you improve your English grammar and sound more natural.
Let's quickly recap. Make sure your subject and verb agree, use the correct tense, choose the right articles, a, an, and the. Avoid double negatives, keep your word order in check.
We hope these tips were helpful. If you want to keep learning, make sure to follow Meshcat English House for more episodes like this.
We hope these tips were helpful. If you want to keep learning, make sure to follow Meshcat English House for more episodes like this.
And don't forget to practice. The more you use these rules, the more natural they will become.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.
And there you have it. 5 simple yet essential grammar rules that will help you improve your English and communicate with greater confidence. Remember, learning a language is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to fluency. Don't worry if you don't get everything perfect right away. The key is to practice consistently. The more you listen, read, and speak, the more natural these rules will become. And, of course, making mistakes is part of the process. Every mistake you make is a step toward improvement, so embrace them and keep going. I really hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, make sure to subscribe to Meshcat English House so you never miss an episode. I'm here every week with new tips, strategies, and insights to help you become a more confident English speaker. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, classmates, or anyone who might find it useful. Learning together is always more fun, and who knows? You might just help someone else on their English learning journey. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Keep practicing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode of Meshcat English House. Until then, take care and happy learning.